Hello, everybody. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 1 of the SkolChat. I am your host, Sam Wantock, and once again, I'm joined by my co-host, Ethan Decker. Ethan, I'm loving the jersey you got on today.
I'm standing up.
Well, let's see it.
We got
Woo!
we got rookie of the year in my eyes, in our hearts. Justin Jefferson
should
be rookie of the year.
Robbed. Straight up robbed. It is embarrassing. And today,
Now, Wantock, I think you should show off your jersey as well.
It's a good thing I'm on a swivel chair. I gotta take my headphones off. We got Linval Joseph, baby. Woo!
Number 98, Big Goon.
Oh man, the big man. Again, Linval, come on the show. We want to talk to you.
Yeah, we would love it.
All right. So for those of you who might have missed the introduction, I'm Wantock, joined by Decker. We like the Vikings. We talk the Vikings. And today we got an action-packed episode. First, we're starting off with a roster breakdown. I mean, who are we going to see on the field this year? What should we expect? And we have also, I didn't grade everybody, but we got grades for 90% of the roster here from our very opinionated views of players. And then after that, we have a record prediction. We're going to try and predict the record of the Vikings this year. Talk about why we have a win or a loss at that period of time. And then finally, the most exciting part of the evening is our predictions for the NFL awards. Who's the MVP? Who's the Offensive Player of the Year? Both for the NFL and for the Vikings organization. Not saying that Vikings can't win the awards. We might see that today. Who knows? You have to find out.
You have to wait and see.
Exactly. Do not skip ahead. We'll know if you did, and we'll hunt you down and we'll hurt you. Okay, let's get started. Roster breakdown. Okay. What position should we start with, Mr. Decker?
Okay. I think it's fair enough. Let's start off. Let's pull the Band-Aid right away. Let's start with the quarterback.
All right.
Now,
QB.
Right now, we got, obviously our starter entering his fourth year, Kirk Cousins. My opinion, it's make it or break a year for him.
I agree.
He's been going through restructures. We've extended him. But I think this is where it's going to come down to make it or break it. We brought him in 2018. We thought he was the missing piece to his Super Bowl, and we've only made the playoffs in one of his current first 3 years. So I truly believe this is it for him. This is it. Kellen Mond, drafted in the third round out of Texas A&M to be backup. He's very much a developmental piece. Probably won't see the field for at least, if Kirk's gone next year, maybe he comes in 2022. But And realistically, if we keep Kirk beyond this year, he's more 2-3 years down the road. Beyond that, we got Jake Browning, Nate Stanley, two guys that are... Nate Stanley's entering his second year out of Iowa, out of the Big Ten. Jake Browning, his third year with the Vikings out of Washington. He was played in the Rose Bowl game for them. From what I've been hearing and seeing, it's been Jake Browning, who's actually been having a very good camp. Actually been doing second team reps ahead of Kellen Mond, who's been doing third team reps.
What?
So that would be a storyline to watch into training camp. But I really think that this entire quarterback room, I think a good grade for them would have to be a B+ for me. Kirk, you know what you're going to get with Kirk. He's very durable, serviceable. You can always count on him to be out there for the game. And but beyond that, it's unproven. God forbid Kirk go down with a torn ACL or something in training camp or week 1. It's unproven beyond that. Guys that haven't made a start in the NFL. So I think it'd be a fair grade to give him a B+ right now.
I think that's a good idea, yeah. I agree with most of what you said there. With Kirk Cousins, either you love him or you hate him, it seems like. Some people think it's his MVP year. I think he's a great game manager. But I do like what we have going on here. If Jake Browning's taking like second team reps over Mond, Like, Browning was my only question mark, but I think that Mond could be a starter with some more time, give him the Rodgers effect. Stanley, he's a QB3. What are you going to do? But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I'd say a B or B plus is very appropriate.
And overall, I can be happy with this because in the past 2 years we had Sean Mannion as a backup, and I mean that was absolutely worst case if Kirk went down. We are screwed. I don't see us winning a game if we had Sean
that
Mannion
week
there.
17 with Sean Mannion. Oh, that was rough to watch.
That was very bad. He had like a little over 100 yards in 4 quarters, 2 picks. I mean, that would have just been unreal if Kirk went down. We had to put him in. It just would have been atrocious.
Yeah.
So overall, I'm happy with the way the position's looking now.
I 100% agree.
I think a good second one to start with would be our running back / fullback position.
Yes.
Just the halfbacks in
I
general.
agree with that.
So obviously we got top 5 running back in the league.
Top 1, baby. Top 1.
I hope that's how it is this year. I hope we can take that even next step past Derrick Henry, McCaffrey, Saquon coming off a torn ACL. But I think good for Dalvin right now, a good top 5. Obviously, backup, we got Alexander Mattison entering his 3rd year. I've seen a couple reports saying he could be a trade bait come this later in the training camp, but because he's got the star potential, he can be a starting running back for a team out there, but he just thrives in this RB2 role for us right now, and it's great. RB3, it's kind of a battle. Going to be a battle in training camp behind veteran Amir Abdullah. And then the 4th round of Iowa State, we drafted Kene Nwangwu, and he is a kick return specialist. He's a burner out there when you get the ball in his hands on the kick return. So, I could see us keeping 4 running backs this year, just having Amir Abdullah, who, he doesn't get in there much, but when you see it like last year, in like Detroit when we played him at home, like week 9, I believe, you put him in there and he can get a 28-yard touchdown catch just out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's kind of more of a kickoff
when he's out there,
guy
he can
too,
make plays. Yeah. So I wouldn't be shocked if we kept 4 running backs and just kept Nwangwu out there as special teams, because God knows we need that after what happened last year. I mean, we need just a burner out there, thinking back to the Marcus Sherrills and Cordell Patterson days.
Oh, yeah.
So that one shocked me. And then obviously at fullback we got Hammer time, CJ Hammer. And he'll obviously be the starter. Just a unit out there. Can catch out the backfield, and he's a great run blocker. He can get to the second level, take some linebackers out by their knees. He's awesome.
Yeah.
So I think this is one of our deeper positions, and I think a solid grade for that. I honestly, I'm biased here, but I think a solid A. I mean, you got a superstar running back, I'll say, in Dalvin Cook. Alexander Mattison, who could be a starter in this league, and then good depth behind that with Amir Abdullah, who's been in the league for a while, and then a nice kick returner with Nwangwu, and then obviously a great fullback, top 10, top 7, whatever you want to say, fullback in the league in Ham. So I think A is a pretty good grade for that.
Yeah, I would agree with that, definitely. But are there going to be A pluses? I should specify. Are there A pluses? Is that possible?
It might be.
Okay.
We'll have to see. We'll see.
Well, in my personal opinion, I think our running back room gets an A plus. Dalvin Cook, he is a top 2 running back, and he is not 2. Let me tell you that. Christian McCaffrey, he's number 2 in my personal opinion, because when Dalvin Cook is healthy, he gets it done. Madison,
and that's the thing too.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
That's the thing with Cook too. It's if he can stay healthy, because when he's healthy for a full year, absolutely explosive. But you see that. I mean, even last year where he didn't miss many games, but still he'll get banged up and he'll be out for a couple possessions. And obviously, there's always the risk of a season-ending injury for him, which is the scary part about it. But it makes it better knowing we got a good backup running back in case something were to happen.
That is a good point. Yeah, he does have the injury problem, obviously. Madison's hard for me to figure out, because I do think he has the starter potential, but I mean, every time I think of Madison now, I just think of that Week 4 game against the Falcons, because I started him in fantasy, and I thought, he's going to get 20 points against the Falcons. And then he kind of crapped the bed. But
exactly.
I mean, obviously, he can't go off one game, but that was his moment. That was his time to shine, and he didn't capitalize. That's what I'm concerned about, but I definitely think when you pair those two together, it can be a deadly combo up there with Chubb and Kareem Hunt as, like, a duo.
Yeah.
And then Abdullah and Nwangwu, they're very good, but, yeah, C.J. Ham. Love the guy. If I didn't have a Linval Joseph jersey, I'd have a C.J. Ham jersey. No question.
Yes. Yep.
But yeah, I'd agree.
So an A+ for you, an A for me for the running back position. It could easily be an A+ for me too, but I think it's just that injury factor with Dalvin that just kind of takes it down just a little.
I get you.
Okay, on to wide receiver. We got the veteran and Adam Thielen. You know what you're going to get from him. The second year wide receiver, only 22 years old, Justin Jefferson got the jersey on.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously got snubbed for Rookie of the Year. He's going to be a superstar. Chad Beebe. Now this is where it gets tough for a wide receiver 3, where I think the Vikings could still go out and sign someone at this position for a wide receiver 3. But Chad Beebe, 5th round pick out of Iowa, Amir Smith-Marset, who's another guy we drafted with a lot of speed. He could be back there returning punts, kicks, whatever it may be. And he's another one that's, you hear a lot of hype around right now in camp. We've seen this before with Diggs, 5th round pick out of the Big Ten, ended up coming in, and the rest is history. So Amir Smith-Marset, I hope the hype is there, and I hope he can really show off that promise. 3rd-year receiver BC Johnson. Obviously he was a 7th rounder when we drafted him. Kind of came out of nowhere. Had a really good rookie year, honestly, in my opinion. But then last year, when he had the expectations, he started out the year as wide receiver 2 behind Thielen before Jefferson really propelled. And he really choked. He really didn't have a good year. He really didn't do much. He didn't really see him out on the field much. So, it's make it or break it for him, I believe, too, or else he might get cut. KJ Osborne, R1, obviously a fail last year. We brought him in to be this new and electric punt returner and kick returner, and he just didn't do nothing. He didn't have a single return over 20 yards. He was out there bobbling the ball, fumbling. I just don't see the value on this team for him anymore. It's just I think he could be a cut come preseason, and that besides that, with kick return and punt returner, he just really has no value out there. He'll never see the field at receiver, and there's just no place for him. Behind that, it's Dan Jacena, who was a gunner for us last year. You really saw that. He caused a couple fumbles, I know, in that Week 4 game against the Texans last year. Just creating a lot of pressure out there. That's his value on the team. He won't see the field of the receiver either, but he's a really good gunner, and that's pretty valuable on the special
Plays
team.
his role well.
And then, yeah. And then the last two is just Blake Prohl and Wap Filer, I believe his name is. I saw him playing the Big Ten. He came out of Indiana. Blake Prohl came out of East Carolina. Both undrafted guys. Blake Prohl's dad, Ricky Prohl, played 17 years in the league. So kind of like Chad Beebe. His dad, Don Beebe, played in the league for a while. And so we got 2 former receivers' sons on the team. And I've heard a couple of things about Prohl and Filer. Filer had a Moss in the OTAs. So, obviously probably long shots. But, I mean, look at what Thielen did. Was an undrafted guy like them and made it to the top. So it's all about having a good camp, and that wide receiver 3 spot is totally up for grabs right now. So with this position group, I really just got to give this, like the quarterback position, I got to give this a B+. I know some people might think that's a little bit low, but Thielen and Jefferson obviously stars. You know what you're going to get from them. But it's really, like I said, that wide receiver 3 spot is really what takes this grade down for me. It's just we just don't have that solid guy like back in the day when we had a Jarius Wright or someone that can go out there on 3rd down and just make a good catch for you that can extend the chains. And we just don't have that. Someone's got to really step up in camp here. We could still go out and sign Larry Fitz or something, bring him home for his last year, or like a D.D. Westbrook or someone. But we got to have that last guy really step up, whether it be BB, Smith-Marset, BC Johnson, someone needs to step up and grab that role, because that's what really takes this grade down for me.
That's my same entire issue with it. Is we signed what's his nuts from the Titans last season.
Taze
Sharp, because he was supposed to be like that depth guy. Was supposed to be like the wide receiver 3. And it's just sure, Thielen and Jefferson are good, but that gap between Like, those two and the rest is just too wide right now.
Yeah, but if one of Thielen or Jefferson went down, we're screwed. I mean, you just can't rely on, one guy to, that's what makes Thielen and Jefferson great, is both of them being out there. The DBs aren't focused on one guy. So if Thielen or Jefferson went down, then it's the other guy that just is the main focus out there for the DBs. So,
exactly. That's what made Thielen and Diggs so good, was that, of course, it was one or the other was going to have a good game, but yeah, there's just no depth currently. I won't talk too much about receivers because basically what you said was what I was thinking. But I just want to share a funny story about Mr. BC Johnson. I mean, you remember this. I sent you a DM like the couple weeks before the 2020 season started. And I gave you...
It was actually BB.
Was it BB? No, I'm pretty sure...
I believe it was BB.
Okay, well, it was either BB or Old BC Johnson, but I think it was BC because he was supposed to be the wide receiver too. But I sent you my stat prediction, and I think I remember it off the top of my head. I guessed you would have 65 catches, 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns, thinking it was going to be a Pro Bowl year. I almost knocked over my laptop, but that did not happen. But yeah, like you said, most of what I agree with, but I'd give it a B just because that gap is just so big.
Yeah,
it's
a big drop off. Big.
So I agree with you entirely on that.
Okay. Now we're gonna move over to the tight end group. This one is a weird one to see for Viking fans. Obviously, no Kyle Rudolph anymore after 10 years. It hurts the heart a little bit seeing him gone, but I mean, in reality, it was the right
He's
move.
on to greener pastures.
Yeah, yep. And he's created a lot of cap space for us to go out and make some moves on the defense and help us out. So now it's Irv Smith's time. So we got Irv Smith in there, who's going to be the starter. Behind that, you got Tyler Conklin. And, I mean, with Rudolph going down those last, I believe, 5 or 6 weeks of the year last year, we really got to see Conklin evolve, sort of. He's a good vertical threat you got down the field. I mean, him and Irv are good vertical threats who can not only just play the tight end position, but they can go out wide just as the same as a receiver. So I like what they're doing. In the 5th round this year, we took Zach Davidson. He came out of, I believe, like Central Missouri State. He was actually a punter when he started in college, transitioned to tight end, and just took off from there.
Jeez.
So, I mean, he'll probably be the tight end 3 if we keep it. And then the last guy is Shane Zylstra, who's an undrafted player out of Minnesota State. So, like Thielen, undrafted, coming to the Vikes after college. His brother Brandon actually played with the Vikings a few years ago, just on a special teams role. I think he's in Carolina now, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think a fair grade, really, for the tight end group is a C+ for me. Reason being, we don't got Mr. Reliable anymore, like in Rudolph. And besides that, it's really unproven. We don't really know yet what Irv can do in the full-time role. We don't really know if maybe Conklin doesn't keep up that success or he has a drop-off. It's a big question mark for me. It's a lot of unproven guys who are just really going to be taking on a bigger role now. So I think it's C+ for me. That's what I'm going to have to give the tight ends.
I think that's definitely a fair grade for them. I mean, my grade, when you average it out, it kind of gets to around a B, just because, I mean, I see so much potential with this group. I think that if they get even to like 60% of what is expected of them currently, they could be a great duo, Irv and Conklin. I mean, obviously Davidson, he played like D2, so it's really hard to tell. And then the other 2 guys don't see the field very much, Dylan and Zylstra. But
sorry, that's another one I forgot to mention was Dylan, but he only appeared in a couple games sporadically from like 2019 to 2020. He's just more of a practice squad guy.
Yeah. So basically, what I would say, like, I mean, I'd love for these guys to be like a B grade, but like, Yeah, realistically speaking, right now, since we don't really know for sure much about them, C is a good place to start. But I definitely think this group has the potential to go over the top this year.
Yeah, and I think their grade could definitely rise throughout the year. Irv, a lot of big time reporters are saying it, that he could be primed for a breakout year, and I agree. I mean, so this group could definitely, with overtime, this grade could definitely go up to from a C plus for a B plus to me. It really could, if everybody really pans out the way that they're expected to. So now we're gonna get to the fun part. Obviously, for Viking fans, this is the nightmare position for a lot of us over the years in the Zimmer era, and that the offensive line.
Yeah.
So I got the presumed starters. I got the presumed starters written down in order here. Left tackle, obviously the 23rd overall pick in this past year's draft, Christian Darrisaw, coming out of Virginia Tech. Left guard for the Vikes. Actually, I kind of got this wrong because I think this is how it's going to actually turn out. But I think left guard is actually going to be Ezra Cleveland starting out. I think what I've heard is the Vikes are going to move him to like in college he played left tackle. They're going to move him over to the left side of the line, except this time at guard. Center, this is an R1 for me. It's a big make it or break year for Bradbury. Garrett Bradbury, just first round pick in 2019, and as sad as it is to say, he's more trending towards the bust territory for me. He's great in the run game. That's what makes him special. He's like 6'2", 6'3", but he's leaner, and he can go out there and get to the second level and get out there in pulls and that, and really create holes for Dalvin Cook. But what his weak spot is, where he was towards really the very bottom of the league for center wise, was pass blocking. He just doesn't succeed at that. You see him in game, and especially in games against like Chicago. You got Akeem Hicks out there who's 330, 340, and just knocking him off his feet. Mm-hmm. And that's where they get the quarterback right away. Is to get to the quarterback is like right through the center. So that's where Kirk gets screwed a lot and gets sacked a lot, is because defenders are going right past Bradbury up the middle, and that's how you get to Kirk so fast. So it's sad to say, but yeah, going towards that bust territory. And I think if he has another bad year and doesn't really evolve, I think it could be a cut, maybe a trade. But Bradbury, this is huge. He's got the biggest what if on the line this year for me. Right guard, another third round pick for us out of Ohio State, Wyatt Davis. This is a kid I absolutely love. 4-year starter at Ohio State, 2-time All-American. Played in the big time games. That's what I love about it. We're not getting like Darrisaw. Sure, I mean he's a first round pick for a reason, but at Virginia Tech, he never played in the big time games, as big of games as Davis. Ohio State's in the college football playoff every year, so Wyatt Davis was in all those games up against first round picks out of Alabama, Clemson, those type of guys. So I think he could really, really thrive in his role. Hopefully it's in his first year. If not, it's maybe second year. And if Wyatt Davis, if they notice that he's not having a very good camp for me, I wouldn't be shocked if the Vikes went out and maybe throw a little low ball offer at David DeCastro. David DeCastro just got cut from the Steelers for he was there for 9 years, I believe. 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. He's a guy that maybe could step in there for a year, maybe let Davis learn a little bit behind him if Davis isn't ready this year, and that's what they know is in camp. On to right tackle, Brian O'Neill, obviously entering his third year with the Vikes.
Yeah, third.
Or fourth year.
Jeez.
I think. 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. So entering his fourth year with the Vikings. This is the big news lately, is he's entering he's in this contract extension territory. So he's due for that. I wouldn't be shocked if the Vikings locked him up here coming up soon before training camp or not. But he's Mr. Reliable on the line. Had a very good Pro Football Focus grade for him last year, where he was ranked in like the top 5 right tackles, where he I believe only allowed like 1 or 2 sacks, not many pressures. So Brian O'Neill, in my opinion, is very much earned that contract extension for him. Now the depth behind that, you got Rashad Hill, and he's kind of been like for the past 6 years, 5-6 years for the Vikings, really been the type of guy, if there's an injury, he'll go right in at tackle. He's more of like when we go like six tackles out or six linemen out there like on goal line, he'll usually be the extra lineman. That's kind of his role. Mason Cole is a left or just a guard in general who we acquired from the Arizona Cardinals. I believe for a 6th-round pick we got him. I've heard people say he might be a starter over Wyatt Davis, but I don't really believe that. I think he's just more of a backup. They gave him a little bit of starter time in Arizona, never really thrived in it, so I think a backup is definitely his role. Besides that, 2 nightmares for the Vikings fans, especially this past year. Drew Samia, who just got steamrolled out there, and Dakota Dozier, who God only knows why he got re-upped by the Vikings this year. The Vikings brought him back on another 1-year deal, and I can't think of a worse lineman why we would bring him back. Obviously, not last year when we saw it in the games. There's this 5-yard hold here or 5-yard hold here. He doesn't have any skill, in my opinion. I don't see what the Vikings love in him that made him bring him back, but in my opinion, I'd cut him. I just don't see no value for him, in my opinion. Besides that, you got Oli Udoh. He's a 3rd-year tackle for us out of Elon. I believe that's a Division II school. He's a big guy. He's got a lot of promise I've seen from camp, and I think 2 years ago in that regular season finale when Sean Mannion started, he was out there starting at tackle. I thought he did pretty good. He's got a lot of promise. Besides that, Blake Brandel, who I've heard could be a surprise, maybe 53-man roster guy for us, 2nd year. And then Kyle Hinton. I know I sent this to Wantock a couple weeks ago. He's entering his 2nd year out of Washburn, which I think that's a Division II or Division III, one of the two schools. But he was a practice squad guy last year, and I sent this to Wantock a couple weeks ago, but he was in there back squatting 600 pounds or so.
Oh, yeah.
This past offseason. So this kid, obviously, he wants it, which I love to see, especially on the line where we need it. We need guys that really want it. And this guy seems like he really wants it. So he excites me to what he can do in camp in the preseason. But overall with this offensive line, this one is probably going to be my lowest grade for us. I'm going to give it a C. Reason being, obviously, Darisaw Davis, rookies, really got to see what they can do before I can make this grade go up. Bradbury, like I said, he's going towards the bust. Make it or break it for him. But the last two with Cleveland and O'Neal, I think they both got really good promise. Obviously, O'Neal's really proven himself, and I think Cleveland can build from his rookie year. And the depth, with Rashad Hill, he's not bad. Mason Cole, we'll see what he does. But, Drew Samia and Dakota Dozier, those guys are flat out cuts for me. So I think a C for this group is the best I can give it right now.
Yeah, I would really love to see this group finally have the year we've been waiting for. Because I wish Bradbury. I think if he could bring it together, this is a very solid group. With Wyatt Davis, and of course Cleveland and O'Neal and Darisaw, which that pick I absolutely loved because we traded back and we got the guy that we wanted all along in the first place. Yeah. So I think that was just fantastic job by Spielman. We all know the usual line. Lions trash. It's another year being a Vikings fan. So maybe this is the year. But I agree with the C grade. Honestly, I might even make it lower, like a C minus. Yeah. But you don't want to.
I don't blame you on that. Yeah.
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but it's the truth. But prove me wrong if you're listening to this, Vikings O lineman.
Yeah. And I think all the the non-blind Viking fans out there know O-line is an issue. You cannot really praise this group yet until they go out and prove it. And it's big for this O-line because you see it from Kirk. You give him time in the pocket, he can make the throws. When he's rushed, then it gets ugly. Because Kirk doesn't move that well. So that's why it's big for this O-line this year. It really is. This is really make it or break it. Going to move on to the defense side of the ball now. Now, this is the exciting part of this roster breakdown. It's because Spielman and Zimmer put a lot of money into this group now, so we're going to break this down. Gonna start off with the D line. I kind of put this roster into what I think the starters are going to be. I think starting at right rush end is going to be Stephen Weatherly. He's back on the Vikings now on a 1-year deal. He was with us for his first 4 years of his career. Really thrived there at the end in a rotational pass rusher role. Went to Carolina last year, got like 2 years, $10 million, I believe, and didn't get a single sack. Didn't get a single sack while he was a starter, and ended up having a knee injury that ended his season. But he's back. This is where I would love to see the Vikings go out and sign Melvin Ingram, a Justin Houston, heck, maybe even an Everson Griffin, bring him back for a year. Because Stephen Weatherly is a rotational pass rusher that really can thrive in that role in Zimmer's defense. We saw last year with Afadio Odenigbo. We pushed him up to a starter, and he didn't really do much. You didn't really see him out there creating a lot of pressure. That's because in 2019, as a rotational guy like Weatherly, he thrived in that. So I don't really want to see Weatherly as starter because I think he would just get like 4 or 5 sacks in the rotational role. But for right now, since we don't really got anybody else, he's the rush right end starter. Now up the middle, this is where we got the big boys now. We got Michael Pierce coming back. He was an opt-out last year. COVID concerns. He's a big boy. I think he has just COVID could have really done some damage to him if he ended up getting it. So he was an opt-out. Last year in the 2020 offseason, signed to a 3-year, $27 million deal from the Ravens. He's gonna be taking on that Linval role. He's just what Linval was. He's not gonna create a lot of pressure, get a lot of sacks, but sure as heck he can defend the run. So that's what he's gonna be doing. And then Dalvin Tomlinson, we bring in from the Giants, I believe, on a 2-year, $20 million deal. Kind of like Pierce, he's going to be a run stuffer for us, but he can also play the 3 technique, get some pressure there. He can get, 2.5, 3 sacks a year. So Pierce and Tomlinson are going to be lethal up the middle, in my opinion. And then the big one here, Danielle Hunter. I mean, obviously he was a holdout. A lot of people didn't think maybe we wouldn't get a contract done with him by training camp. Regular season comes around, he'll be a holdout. But Rob Brzezinski, who's our salary cap guy in our front office, and Slick Rick Spielman go out and rework his contract and get him here for the season, which is absolutely huge. Because without him, it's just going to be like last year. Where's the pressure going to come from? Who's going to get that? Our little reunion too. Vikings bring back Sheldon Richardson on a 1-year deal, $3 million. Took less money to come back to the Vikings to play for Coach Zimmer and Coach Patterson, who's our D-line coach. Took less money from the Browns, came back here, and he's going to be in that backup role for the first time in his career. He's going to be the guy when Pierce and Tomlinson need to come out for a few plays on a drive. Richardson's going to slide right on there, and I love this pickup in this reunion because, I love that he's going to be taking on a backup role, and because he can, Richardson, he's been a star his entire career. So if anything were to happen to Pierce and Tomlinson, we can slide him right in there. We won't have to put in a Shamar Stephen like years past or Tom Johnson or whatever. We got Richardson there, and it's great. It's great for the depth. Outside of that, 2nd-year defensive end DJ Wanham out of South Carolina. Obviously, we saw what he can do last year. He's kind of getting a lot of comparisons to Danielle Hunter in that sense. He's got a similar body type. And he's got a lot of potential too. I mean, we saw it last year with against the Packers. At the end of the game, he got that forced fumble on Rodgers to end the game and give us the win. So, if anybody could maybe overtake Weatherly if we didn't bring in someone, DJ One could definitely be someone. Patrick Jones, another third round pick for us out of Pittsburgh. Got a lot of potential. I believe he was the leading sack getter in the ACC last year. So he's got a lot of potential. Janarius Robinson, who was a 4th round pick for us out of Florida State. Another guy, lankier type of defensive end with some height. Both him and Jones, they got a lot of potential, so I'd love to see what they can do in camp. Jalen Holmes, who's entering his 4th year with the Vikings as well out of Ohio State. He was a starter at some point last year. Took some starter snaps, kind of went into a rotation role a little bit too. Not a whole lot to love there, but if anything were to happen, he's got some starter experience. He can go in there. Jalen Twyman, a kid I love out of Pitt as well. 6th round pick. Thank God, if you haven't heard, that he's alive. He was visiting, I believe, his aunt or grandma in Washington, D.C. last week. And he ended up getting shot 4 4 or 6 times, I think.
4, yeah.
So thank God that he's alive and well, because I absolutely love this kid's potential. Before he was an opt-out last year in college, but before that he was getting Aaron Donald comparisons, believe it or not, just because he was creating that much pressure and was that much of a run stuffer and just a absolute wrecking ball on the defensive line. So I absolutely love his potential. Armon Watts entering his third year with the Vikings. You know what you're going to get from him. He's a run stuffer as well. He might be a cut, I think, if he doesn't really have a good camp, because there's just so much depth to love here. Hercules Mataafa obviously became a starter a little bit at the end of the last year. He got some sacks. He's like 250, 260, and he plays the 3 technique. So, I mean, he's the type of defensive tackle that Zimmer loves, that can go out and get a sack or 2. James Lynch entering his second year with the Vikings as well. Came out of Baylor. He was the Big 12 Defensive Lineman of the Year his last year in college. Didn't see the field a whole lot. Had a sack on Russell Wilson last year in Week 4 in Seattle. But again, you know, if something doesn't happen where he doesn't have a good camp, he could be a cut too. And outside of that, Jordan Brailford, who we got from Washington last year on waivers, had a safety last year in that Jacksonville game. Had a sack here and there. He's very low depth as well. And this is one of a lot of people have not heard this, but this is one of my favorites in this D-line room. His name is Kenny Willekes. Came out of Michigan State. He was a 7th round pick last year for us. Ended up tearing his ACL in camp last year and never got to see the field in his rookie year, but he was a walk-on when he started at Michigan State. And he worked his way to starter, worked his butt off, and ended up becoming the Big Ten Lineman of the Year in 2019. So, you know, you love to hear those type of stories. He's one of my favorites. So, I think with our D-line group, this is going to be the one where I give it an A+. Now, a lot of people think maybe, you know, that's a little bit biased talking here, but what's not to love? You know, this is the biggest depth we got. You know, where do you see a weakness? You know, last year we're throwing out, you know, we had Ngakoue to start the year, ended up trading him. Outside of that, what do we have? We had Odenigbo, Shamar Stephen, like Jalen Holmes, Jaleel Johnson, just no depth behind those guys. And now look at it. We get Pierce back out of an opt-out. We bring in Dalvin Tomlinson. We bring back Weatherly. We get Danielle Hunter back, hopefully healthy, with a reworked contract. And we bring back Sheldon Richardson and go out and draft guys like Patrick Jones and Janarius Robinson. So we got the ultimate depth, and I just don't see what's not to love with this position group. And especially with Andre Patterson at D-line coach, who is the best D-line coach out there that you can get to work with these guys. And I just don't see what's not to love with this group. So I'm going to be giving this my first A+ for this group.
You brought out the A+, and God damn it, Decker, I 1,000% love it and 10,000% agree. I love this group. You know, yeah, Weatherly, the rest is just so damn good. Yeah, you can't help but love it. But quick little trivia fact, if you want to see the sparkle in Decker's eyes, say the name Jalen Twyman. This man loves Jalen Twyman. And
I do. I really do.
And yeah, I think he could be very good too. I mean, especially for the value, could be awesome. But yeah, Sheldon Richardson coming back, I love it. I'm not going to echo too much anymore because I agree. A+ all the way.
So linebacker room, you got Anthony Barr, obviously Zimmer's first pick here. When Zimmer first came in. Lot to love there. You know, Barr, Mr. Reliable, been with us for as long as Zimmer's been here. This is an make it or break it for him. He's entering the last year of his deal. We did a restructure with him this offseason. And in the 2019 offseason, if you remember, he actually accepted a deal from the Jets to go there, overnight switched his mind to come back to the Vikings. So he'll be starting outside linebacker. Middle linebacker, Eric Kendricks. You know, borderline all-pro in my opinion. The dude can do it all. I think he's the best coverage linebacker in the league. He can defend the run, does everything the right way. I believe he's a top 3 middle linebacker in this league. I mean, you can question me all you want. I mean, obviously Bobby Wagner and Fred Warner out there, but Kendricks is just a Mr. Do-It-All because he can really just do everything you need from him. Outside of that, we brought in Nick Vigil, who was a linebacker we got from the Chargers. Before that, he played a few years in Cincinnati to start his career. Just a low-risk type move. if he needs to start, he can go out there if that's what it comes down to. Second year, we got Troy Dye, who came out of Oregon last year for us, and he started towards the end of the year when Kendricks was out, and did all right. Had a few missed tackles, could make some tackles, but it's gonna be in our, he'll be battling for that third linebacker spot as well. Chaz Surratt, this is another guy I really do love, and he came from North Carolina. He was I believe our fourth third-round pick too, and he was a quarterback when he started in college at North Carolina. Moved over to the linebacker side and absolutely went off. I believe he was top linebacker in the ACC last year. So there's a lot to love about him as well. Cameron Smith for the Vikings. This is his third year with us, but last year he was out. He had open heart surgery, I believe, which was scary for him. But everything's all good now, so he'll be out there. Blake Lynch, second-year guy for us, undrafted out of Baylor. Started that Christmas Day game for us against the Saints, and had like 16 tackles, I believe, that game. Really went off, and I heard Zimmer really likes him a lot, so he could be a surprise 53-man roster addition too. Ryan Conley, who came from us in waivers last year from the Giants, played at Wisconsin in his college career. He's another guy that was a special teamer, kind of did all right last year in special teams out there when we needed him to. So I think he could be fighting for one of those spots too. This last guy is a pretty long shot to make the roster, but I really love this guy. Tough Borland, who just can't love the guy that's name's Tough. But another guy that played with Wyatt Davis at Ohio State, was a star linebacker for them for 4 years, and did very well on that Ohio State defense. So overall with this group, I'm going to give this a B+, I think. Maybe A-, B+ for me. Eric Hendricks is a bona fide superstar. Anthony Barr, he's been a multiple-time Pro Bowler, and he's serviceable. But outside of that, linebacker 3 position, no more Eric Wilson. So, a lot of improvements outside of that, but I could see a Troy Dye, Chaz Surratt, Nick Vigil, someone stepping up for that outside linebacker spot to fill in for Wilson's shoes. So I think a B+, A- around there. That's what it's going to be for me.
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from with that. I think the problem is that, right now our 2 big guys, it's an aging group, not going to be around forever. So yeah, the young guys definitely have to step up. But yeah, I think it's a very middle tier part of our team. It's definitely not the worst. Could be better, but yeah, I agree with your grade.
Okay. Moving on to Mike Zimmer's favorite position, the cornerbacks. Because Lord knows we got a plethora of them now. I'm going to start off with Bashaud Breeland. Past 2 years he spent in Kansas City. Year before that, he was with the Packers, and to start his career, he was with the Washington football team. Bashaud Breeland, big-time playmaker out there. Obviously, did good enough as a starter last year for the Chiefs. He was on those Super Bowl teams, won a Super Bowl, lost a Super Bowl. So, a great guy for us to bring in for experience. Now, to move on about that point about experience, Patrick Peterson. Obviously, 11 years with the Cardinals, comes to the Vikings now on a 1-year, $10 million deal, and he's the ultimate. He's going to give as much advice to these young guys as possible. I love that pickup. I think it's a really low-risk, high-reward type of move for us. Second-year guy who really stood out for us is Cam Dantzler. Third-round pick for us out of Mississippi State last year. Jeff Gladney was our first-round pick last year at corner, and Dantzler outperformed him in every which way possible last year. Did great in cover. Start of the year wasn't great in coverage. As the season went on towards the second half, really stood out in coverage. Had a few picks here and there. I think it's big things for him to come, especially under Peterson's hand. Old Vike bringing back here, Mackenzie Alexander. He'll be a nickel cornerback for us, probably starting. Spent his first 4 years with the Vikings, and then last year took a 1-year deal with Cincinnati. Didn't really do much. Comes back, gives us some good depth at nickel and the cornerback position in general. Zimmer should be able to do wonders with him again. This is the big question mark for the group, but Jeff Gladney, obviously he did a bad thing this offseason. Not the most smartest thing possible, but it's going to be a question mark if he's going to even be with the team come regular season time. Personally, his rookie year, I thought he did okay. I thought he was a very good tackler, really attacked the ball carrier when they had the ball in their hands, and really wrapped up on tackles. So, coverage-wise, he can improve on, but again, it's going to be a question mark if he's even on the team. Harrison Hand, another guy who I think could really maybe take on a starting role this year. Second-year player out of Temple. Had an interception on Breeze Christmas Day last year. And so far in camp, and OTAs, minicamp, and all that, he's been out performing almost every cornerback. Had a pick on Kirk this year guarding Thielen. So I think if Harrison Hand, if he can keep taking on that role, it could be great things for him. Chris Boyd. Not a whole lot to say about Chris Boyd. I mean, started him out there last year at times, and just didn't really do a whole lot. I mean, he had some moments where he would have a pass breakup, but he's definitely more of a special teams guy. He should not be out there starting whatsoever. Ty Smith is the guy we brought in from Tennessee. Has a reputation for being a very good special teamer, so hopefully he can keep that up. Perry Nickerson, a guy we brought in he was on the Green Bay practice squad last year, and before that he was with the Jets and Jaguars as a starter at some points. Another speed guy on special teams that probably won't make the roster, but he's good depth for the preseason. And then Dylan Mabin and Amari Henderson, just more depth guys we brought in, because Zimmer, he can't have enough of the cornerbacks. So, I think with this group, I think an A is a fair grade for me. Just based on the depth we brought in. Last year, Zimmer thought, he could just send out inexperience out there and get the same results. Well, that was far from the truth. You had Dantzler and Gladney out there, and outside of that, you had Chris Boyd starting, which should not happen. And then we had Chris Jones out there, who, if any Viking fans remember, he just refused to tackle. He would let a runner go right past and not even make an attempt, which was absolutely awful. And now, look what you got. I mean, you went from, I saw this fact today. Last year, you went from starting week 1, the cornerbacks who had starts in their career, it was a combined 9 total starts by cornerbacks we had on our roster to start last year. Now we got 303 starts out of our cornerback group, which is fantastic. You had a Bashad Breeland, who's been to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, a Patrick Peterson, who's an All-Pro and Pro Bowler in his career. Bring back Mackenzie Alexander, who's thrived here in the nickel role. And then to add Dantzler, who's only going to continue to grow, and Gladney, if he can, if God forbid he's doesn't end up on the team, but if he does, I mean, they can both grow. So I think an A is what's going to be for me, just based on the experience we're bringing and so much depth we got now.
So far, Decker, I have been your yes man. I have said I agree with what you've said. And it's overall, I mean, the cornerbacks, I agree. Zim went ham this past offseason. I love the overhaul, love the experience to teach the young guys. But Gladney, yes, we all know the story, but I don't like him. If he gets cut, I will be very happy, man, because every time I saw him on the field, the man was getting burned for yards all the time. And sure, he can hit kind of hard, but you have to. But like the most important thing is coverage, and that man just couldn't do it. But I mean, overall, I agree. But if Gladney gets cut, I will hit the gritty in my bedroom. Be a very happy man. But yeah, overall, good take. I agree.
Okay. Now moving on to the safety group. This is where it gets pretty thin, but I mean, you got Mr. Reliable Harrison Smith. Obviously, the position group can be thin, but Harry the Hitman's gonna be out there doing his thing. He's been to the Pro Bowl, I believe, 5 times in his career, and you know what you're gonna get from Harry. He's great. That's why he's still on the team after all these years. he's another guy that's going to be due for a contract extension as well. Now, this is one of my I'd say, borderline my favorite pick of the offseason. Xavier Woods. Believe it or not, a guy coming from the Dallas defense is my favorite pick of the offseason. But it's the truth. Xavier Woods having a great camp. One of our defensive coaches said out to the media that he hasn't seen a guy come in like Xavier Woods come in and learn and communicate as well as he has to start his Viking tenure. I think he's got so much potential. Obviously in Dallas, you're not going to thrive a lot. You got Mike McCarthy, an offensive coach, and just borderline average, below average players on that field, and you're going to be left out there alone if you make a mistake. So I love what Xavier Woods can do. You're going to have Harry helping you out, and I think big things will be coming for him. Cam Bynum, who's a 4th-round pick for us out of Cal, actually was a cornerback in college, but Spielman drafted him as a safety. He'll probably end up being one of our backups on the team. Josh Metellus, who is a second-year safety for us out of Michigan, coming. Last year, he was just a special team type of guy. Just never got in as at safety, but did very well in my opinion on special teams. Made some big tackles, and I think that's what Zimmer and our defensive coaches think about him, is that he's just going to be thriving in that role of special teams. But outside of that, Luther Kirk and Miles Dorn, 2 guys that are on the roster for now, just going to be competing in camp and preseason. But a very thin position. I'll quote it now, but don't be surprised if we go back and bring like Sendejo back, just for some extra depth. No. But a thin group, but for me, I think it's got to be a B+. Harrison Smith really brings this grade up because of what he can do out there every time he steps on the field. But again, I think Xavier Woods is due prime for big things this year for us. So I think for that, it might be thin depth, but I'm gonna have to give it a B+.
Yeah, I definitely agree. If there wasn't a Harrison Smith, this group would totally be like a C for me. Just because, Woods, I mean, of course we haven't seen him play yet. The potential is there. But, yeah, I mean, Smith, of course, great player. Should be the highest paid safety in the league. Hope he doesn't want it because cap space is very difficult right now. Yeah, I mean, Woods could do good, but it's a very thin part of our team right now.
Yep.
So I hope that everyone can help carry the load a little bit.
Okay. And last but not least, special teams. Obviously a very heartbreaking subject for Viking fans throughout the years, special teams and kickers in general. Another year of Viking football and our new kicker. Obviously Dan Bailey's with us for 3 years, but a new kicker we got now, Greg Joseph. Was a starting kicker for the Browns in 2018, 2019, I believe. Spent the full year with them. And then he had a brief stint with the Titans. And then last year he won a Super Bowl, actually, with the Bucs as a practice squad kicker. So now it's going to be his turn, I believe. We brought in Riley Patterson. He's an undrafted free agent out of Memphis. Spent 4 years there. They're going to be battling out for that kicker spot. But I believe it's Greg Joseph's job to lose. So it's up to him, from South Africa. So like Gary Anderson back in the 98 and the 90s for the Vikings, kicker for us from South Africa. So he's really got to, he's just got to be reliable. That's all we can ask for our kickers, is just make the extra points and just be reliable. Punter, Braden Colquitt, 3rd year with the Vikings. Can't really ask much from that. He'll get some big time punts here and there. Sometimes he absolutely shanks it, but he's a veteran, been in the league a long time, serviceable punter. Long snapper, just a guy named Andrew DePaulo. We cut Austin Cutting last year at long snapper, just wasn't really doing a whole lot. Getting the ball there, getting the ball low. So Andrew DePaulo be the long snapper to start the year. Special teams, I just got to give a C. It's got to be a C minus for me. Greg Joseph, journeyman. Hopefully he can thrive here, but Braden Colquitt, a veteran, can do good enough. But we just don't got with the Rams. If you got like a Johnny Hecker or like the Rams had back in the day with Zerline and Hecker, and we just don't got that. So it's a lot of guys that just got to prove themselves. So a C minus, C minus for me right now.
Yeah, it's a very serviceable group. I agree. mean, when it doesn't matter, they'll definitely get the job done. It's the clutch moments that I am very scared about
Yep.
still. But yeah, I I mean I had a C as well just because it's those guys. Yeah. But Decker, take a drink of water. You've been doing a lot of
Yep.
talking. So that was our roster breakdown. Now we can move on to the Vikings schedule prediction. I guess we didn't really talk about this beforehand. Do you want to go week by week, or we're just doing like the end record that we think?
I think if it's fine with you, I think I'm gonna go. We'll do one person at a time. I'm gonna go week by week. My win loss, what I think is gonna be a win, what I think is gonna be a loss, and then I'm gonna do final record.
All right, sounds good to me.
Okay. I'm gonna start this one off with week 1. The Vikings played the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow coming off a torn ACL. Our new revamped D line. I think this is a win for the Vikings. I think we're gonna start at 1-0. I think Burrow, the offensive line in Cincy is not good. They brought in our old pal Riley Reef to be right tackle for them. And we're gonna see. They passed on Penei Sewell and Jamar Chase in this past year's draft, so I just don't think their O-line's ready to go up against our D line. I think that's gonna be a win for us week 1. Week 2, we go to Arizona. Patrick Pearson going back for a revenge game. Sadly, I think this one is a loss for the Vikings. I think Kyler Murray is going to be running around scrambling a lot back there. Obviously, they got D-Hop. They bring in A.J. Green. They got Christian Kirk. They bring in Rondale Moore in the draft out of Purdue. I think it's going to be one of those early season games that is really just going to kind of get us. Kyler Murray's going to be running around, getting our D-line, our defense in general, just really tired. So I think the Vikings probably lose that game. That's the type of game I maybe a field goal or 6 points or whatever. Week 3, the Vikings come home and play the Seahawks. Obviously, for how many years now we've always been at Seattle. Now we're finally back at the bank for our home opener, and I think that's a win. Now the tables are turned. We always go to Seattle and we lose those games. I think Seattle comes here. It'll be the first game back at the bank with full capacity, and the fans are going to be just roaring, which is going to be absolutely an amazing sight to see. And I think Russell Wilson is going to be hard for him to hear. Everybody, the entire offense is going to be hard to hear. Nobody's going to be on the same page. I think the Vikings take that game and get a win against the Seahawks for the first time in what feels like years. Week 4, we play Cleveland. At home, Stefanski comes back to Minnesota. Case Keenum as a backup. Who knows? Maybe Baker's injured and Case Keenum ends up starting that game. Who knows? So it'll be Sheldon Richardson against his old team. Hopefully he can make him pay for ended up releasing them. But Browns bringing Jadeveon Clowney in the offseason, add some cornerbacks, totally revamp their defense, and obviously their offense. You got Baker, Chubb, Kareem, Odell, Jarvis Landry, those type of guys. I think the Vikings take this game, though. Again, the bank's going to be roaring, and the Vikings, when they got the fans behind them, it's a completely different ball game. So I think they end up taking this one to make them 3-1. Week 5, at home against the Lions. Jared Goff obviously in there now for the Lions at quarterback. They bring in an entirely new offense, it feels like now, with Stafford gone and Marvin Jones gone and Galladay gone. This one a lot of people might get a lot upset about, but I got to give this one a loss. Reason being is it's one of those type of trap games the Vikes feel like they get in every year at home. If you remember my 2018, I know the Vikings when the Bills came in, where they were just a low team, and they just killed us. And then I believe that was 2016. I believe Lions came in and just shocked us at home again too. So I think it's one of those games. It's gonna be one of those trap games the Vikings just end up getting caught in, where we just have a bad game or something weird just doesn't fall our way, and the Lions end up taking it. So I got the Vikings at 3-2 after that. Week 6, we go on the road at Carolina. Sam Darnold now then their quarterback for the Panthers. McCaffrey coming back if he's going to have a healthy year. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. And on the defensive side of the ball, you got Brian Burns, who's an absolute edge rusher. J.C. Horn, who they bring in at cornerback. So I think the Vikings go into Carolina, though, get that win. Obviously, the Panthers are really trying to go defense heavy now with Matt Rule, but I think we just find a way on offense. We just kind of steamroll them in a way, and then our defense shuts them down. So I think that's a 4-2 record for the Vikings after that. Week 7, we go into the bye. And then Week 8, we come home, play the Cowboys. That's on Halloween, and it's a primetime game, I believe, on Sunday night, or Monday night, one of the two. And I think the Vikings take that. Obviously, last year, when the Cowboys came into Minnesota, nobody thought they would beat us. They beat us with Andy Dalton. So I think this year, Dak's going to be healthy, should be healthy. Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb. Very, very dangerous offense, but I don't think the Vikings let what happened last year happen again. And I think we end up beat Dallas to take care of that defense, because obviously, it's the Dallas defense. They haven't added a lot of unproven guys, and we can figure out a way to take this one from them. Week 9, we go on the road at Baltimore. I think this one's a loss for the Vikings as well. I think the Vikings are going to have trouble with mobile quarterbacks this year. Like I said in Week 2, Arizona took that one. I think Lamar is going to get the better of us. J.K. Dobbins out there, Rashad Bateman, hometown boy from the U of M. I think the Vikings just have trouble with mobile quarterbacks, and Lamar and the Ravens end up taking that one against us. Week 10, we go on the road for our extra matchup of the year, where we play the one AFC West team, and it ends up being the LA Chargers at LA. And it's going to be a battle of Herbert versus Jefferson. It's going to be a battle of who can show off that they were the better rookie, and who can improve from last year. So I think the Vikings take that one. Going to LA, we'll be facing Big Goon, Linval Joseph. Ooh. So I think it's going to be an offensive battle type of game. Two good offensives. Obviously, I believe we got the better defense for sure, but I think we take that one to make us 6-3. Week 11, we come home against the Packers. Now, the big question is, will Aaron Rodgers be in the Packers? That is yet to be seen, but I think the Vikings take this one. Whether it be Rodgers, Love, Zimmer, it has a 500 record in his career against Rodgers, so I think we're bound to take this one at home. Obviously, it'll be a 50-50 type stadium vibes with Green Bay and Minnesota. So, but I think the Vikings do take this one from Green Bay at home to make us 7-3. Week 12, we go on the road to San Francisco. A rematch for us from the 2019 divisional round, which we lost. San Francisco defense absolutely got the better of us. I do think we take this one though. Who knows? Maybe at that point Trey Lance is in there, quarterback. Maybe it's still Jimmy G. Obviously, I hope it's Jimmy G, because in my opinion, I believe Jimmy G is just an absolute quarterback and can't do much. So, I think we do take that one. Obviously, the D-line for San Francisco is still good. They don't got Robert Saleh anymore, a defense coordinator, but I think it'll be a pretty solid game for us. And I think we take that one. Week 13, we have our second matchup of the year with the Lions at Ford Field. I think we take that one. We get our revenge from Week 5. Week 14, we come at home. This is a Thursday night game against Pittsburgh. I do think we take the loss here. I know that Pittsburgh got a lot weaker this offseason, but there's something about the Steelers. We just don't play them the best. Every time we play them, it's always Pittsburgh gets the better hand of us, and I think Pittsburgh ends up coming and taking this one from us. I think maybe Big Ben or someone, or maybe Najee Harris runs through us, but it's gonna be one of those type of games where I think we just don't win. Week 15 at Chicago. Last year, the Vikings go to Chicago on a Monday night and win that. This will be another Monday night game against Chicago, which we always play at Chicago on Monday Night Football. Last year we got the win, and years past we haven't. I think this year maybe we make it 2 in a row. I think we take this game. I think maybe at this point Justin Fields is in there, a quarterback. But I think our defense just overtakes that Chicago line, which is awful, and the D-line for Chicago, we were serviceable against them last year when we went there, so I think that's the game we do take. Week 16, we are at home against the Rams. Matthew Stafford there, and that new look Rams offense with Matthew Stafford, you got Cam Akers and Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. And then obviously we got to defend up against Aaron Donald. But I do think we take that one, because we do play the Rams well at home. Obviously, when we went to LA in Kirk's first year, it was a shootout game. We lost it. But I think we play the Rams well at home. We beat them in 2017 when we had Case. So I think we do take that one to make us 11-4. Week 17, we go at Green Bay. Right at the beginning of the year in 2022, it'll be a cold night in Green Bay. And I think the Packers end up taking that one from us. I do think we split this season with Green Bay because that's how I feel like it usually goes for us. And I think it happens again. So I think Green Bay takes that one on the road. And then week 18, we play at Chicago, at home to finish out the year. And I think we sweep the season series in Chicago. It's got to happen against one of the three teams in the NFC North. I think it happens against Chicago. I think we finish off the year strong. We have a playoff berth locked up. We take that week 18 game against Chicago. And my final record prediction for the Minnesota Vikings this year is going to be a 12-5. I think that is a good record for us. I think will easily get us into the playoffs, and it might save Zimmer's job for 2022.
All right. I like what you said there, but now we're going to get the actual record in here. Okay, here we go. Now, I'm not memeing. This is actually much more realistic than my roster breakdown. Week 1 at the Bengals. I'm gonna pretty much will echo what you said. Joe Burrow and that O line with our revamped D line. I don't think Burrow stands a chance, even with Jamar Chase running routes out there. I think that's an easy win. Week 2 against the Cardinals. This will be a very common theme as I break down the season. We just don't do well against the mobile quarterbacks. And Kyler Murray is one of the best. I think that's a pretty certain L. Very unfortunately. Week 3 with the Seahawks. This one was really tough for me to choose and to land on, whether it be a win or a loss. But I do think that we win this one just because I do believe that the Vikings have one of the best home field presence in the league. Just like the way the fans get into it, the way we have a very strong home field advantage. That's a big reason why I think last season didn't go so well, was because we didn't have the fans, and that advantage was just lost entirely. And I think that it's very very powerful with the Vikings and what helps them win a lot of games. So I think that definitely comes into play here. We get a win even with Russell Wilson being a very mobile guy. It's definitely going to be close. It's not going to be an easy one. Week 4 with the Browns, this is what I worry about a lot, is that Kevin Stefanski, of course, he used to work with the Vikings. He's going to have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. Granted, some of the coaches have changed since then, but I still think he'll have a very solid game plan planned out. And, of course, that roster is just full of studs with the Browns. But with the home field help, I do think it's a win, and we get to 3-1. And this is our first discrepancy right here, Decker. Week 5 with the Lions at home. While it would be a very Vikings thing to flub it, I don't think we do that this year. It's just that roster is atrocious in my personal opinion. I think that it's a definite win at home. Week 6 with the Panthers, that's also a very interesting one. I do think that Brian Burns will be an issue, but I think we have the better roster overall. I think we can suffocate Christian McCaffrey, but the big question mark, of course, is Sam Darnold. Is he going to perform well or not? Personally, I don't think he's going to do that well, so I think it's an easy win. And we're at 5-1 going into the bye week. Then we come back at home against the Cowboys. I think the big message of that game last year was just our cornerbacks could not keep up with Cooper, Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb. And I think with our new revamped squad, it's going to be a very different story. I think that we get the win there securely because we just made the part that really lost us the game, and we made it so much better. I don't think that we lose that game. Week 9 with the Ravens. Again, mobile quarterbacks. And Jackson is the best mobile quarterback right now, so that's a loss, and we're at 6-2. And a week 10 at the Chargers. This one was really hard for me to choose, just because last time we played there, we had such an advantage over them with our fans being there.
Yeah.
But this is a very different Chargers team. I mean, Herbert's proven to be a very, very capable starter. I mean, he was the second best rookie last year. But it was really tough, and I had to give him the L for this one. I think it's a close one for sure, but I think it's a loss, and we lose 2 in a row to go down to 6-3. And a week 11 at home against the Packers. Like you said, is it going to be Rodgers or is it going to be Love starting for the Packers? And I think no matter what, Rodgers or no Rodgers, this one is going to be a definite win just because it's at home. Again, I think our home field advantage is a great thing that we have, and I think we get the win, and we move on to 7-3. Now we're at the 49ers. This one, I think it's a loss. Granted, I mean, Saleh is no longer there, and he had a very big part in the defense's success. But I think it definitely carries over into this year. It's still the very same squad, and they still have that camaraderie. So defense is very good. Plus all those guys coming off injuries like Bosa. I think it's going to be a loss. Go down to 7-4. And we're absolutely pissed about that loss down in San Fran. So we go and we beat the shit out of the Lions at Ford Field. Jared Goff is going to have a rough day. It's a win, and we go to 8-4. And week 14 with the Steelers. And this is where we disagree again. I do think we can win this one because that Steelers O-line right now. I mean, they could still make some changes over the season, but I think that our D-line absolutely kills them. I mean, Najee Harris can't really get a run going, and Big Ben can't move to save his life. So I think that we just suffocate Big Ben, and we get a win against Pittsburgh. And then we go to the Bears, week 15. I think that one is going to be a loss. But this is me assuming that it's going to be Justin Fields starting by this point, because he is a much more mobile guy, and again, like my current running theme, mobile quarterbacks kill the Vikings, and I think that if he's starting, it's close, but I think it's a Bears win there and a Vikings loss. We're sitting at a fairly comfortable 9-5. Week 16 versus the Rams. I think that one's a win. Granted, Stafford does have the advantage of knowing the Vikings pretty well, and it's definitely a much better squad than he's ever had before. I still think that we get the win with the home field advantage. And now week 17 at the Packers. Now this one could go two very different ways. I think if the Packers still have Rodgers, then it's a loss. But if they have, if there's no Rodgers, I think it's a definite win. So just assuming, I'm knocking on wood that Rodgers will be gone. That's a win, and it's 11-5 going into the last week, which is against the Bears, and that's a win at home. 12-5, going to the playoffs, very comfortable seed, and same outcome as you, but just a different way of getting there. But I think it's a very strong year for the Vikings.
Yeah, I think that's a good record for us. Even if it was 11-6, I'd still take it. I think 11-6 would get us into the playoffs pretty comfortably as well. So
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, 12-5 for both of us. I can't argue against that. I think that would be a perfect season. Obviously, in my opinion, for Zimmer to keep his job, I mean, to keep Cousins Zimmer, I think a playoff win would need to be expected. But I think ownership with the Wills would be pretty happy if we had a 12-5 solid season.
Mm-hmm. Plus, it's that it's the playoff year for Zimmer.
Yep, it's on and off again.
Yep. So it has to happen. All right, and now for the final segment of our show today, we are doing our award predictions. So should we start with like Coach of the Year and then work up to MVP? Do you think?
So this is how I envision it starting for us. I think we'll start off with the Viking awards.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I think I'll start off. I'll do my Viking award picks. You'll do yours, and then we'll transition to our NFL picks.
Okay.
Okay. I'll lead it off here. With our Viking awards, we have the categories or the awards are Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, the Most Improved Player, and our Team MVP. For our Offensive Player of the Year, this one was kind of a coin toss, but I have Justin Jefferson being our Offensive Player of the Year. Obviously, do I think he could build on what he did in his rookie year? I think that'd be pretty hard. I mean, most players don't have a 1,400-yard year and succeed that the next year. But can I see Jefferson getting 1,200, 1,200 or 1,300? Sure. The catches are going to be there. Hopefully the touchdowns can go up more. But I think Jefferson is just going to keep building into his superstar status, so I think he takes home that award. This is going to be my only award of this segment where I have a double winner. But Defensive Player of the Year, I have two winners for the Vikings. I have Xavier Woods and Eric Kendricks. Yes, Xavier Woods made it as my Defensive Player of the Year just because I have that much hope for him. I think you get him out of Dallas, you get him out of that toxic environment and defense. You get him into this defense where he can thrive, and I think he's going to. And that's just me. Maybe that's just a gut feeling for me, but I think Xavier Woods has a good year, like what Anthony Harris had 2 years ago. Anthony Harris 2 years ago had the 9 picks for us. I think Woods might not have that much, but I think he could have at least 5 or 6 in this type of defense for him. And then Eric Kendricks, obviously, he's a tackle machine, best pass coverage linebacker in the league, in my opinion. And I think he's got to earn a share of that award. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Obviously, we don't have many. Offensive linemen are obviously really not part of this, but I think it's going to be Amir Smith-Marset. I think Amir Smith-Marset, if we do not go out and sign wide receiver 3, I think Amir Smith-Marset maybe takes on that role. He's got a lot of promise. Maybe he has a Diggs-type story, but maybe he gets out there, makes some big-time catches, gets some big-time first downs, touchdowns, and exceeds on special teams. So I think if anybody's going to take home that award, I think it's him. Defensive Rookie of the Year, sorry. There's many of them that could maybe take this home, but I think it's going to be Chaz Surratt. I think, yes, Chaz Surratt. In my opinion, I think he takes home that linebacker 3 role next to Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks, and he takes on that Eric Wilson role. And I think he thrives on it because he's, what everybody's been saying so far in camp, even Eric Kendricks says it, he is a special athlete. Obviously many people can't do what he did going from quarterback to linebacker, and I think he just keeps proving people wrong, and he takes home that starting role, and I think he succeeds in it. So I think he's going to be my Defensive Rookie of the Year for us. Most Improved Player, I think it's pretty unanimous. Who else is going to be? Danielle Hunter. Obviously, he was out last year, had a neck injury, ended up having neck surgery for like a herniated disc. I think he comes back better and stronger than ever. Obviously, he's a happy guy now with his contract rework, but I think Danielle Hunter, I think he could very well have a 15 sack season, if not a little bit more. Maybe not Jared Allen like 2011, but Danielle Hunter, he's just an animal, and I think it's just who else is going to be? He's going to come back better and stronger. And then lastly, for my MVP, it's Dalvin. Like I said earlier in the show, Dalvin is a top 5 running back in this league, if not top 3 or whatever. But if he can stay healthy, he's unreal. He's a very, very special player. And obviously some people can maybe argue Kirk. Maybe Kirk, you give him a line. Kirk passes for 4,500 and maybe close to 40 touchdowns. But I think Dalvin's just that special where he takes us home pretty easily.
Yeah. You definitely compiled a good list there. I don't see any problems with it. And now, my personal picks with the Offensive Player of the Year. We're both on the same wavelength here. I think it's going to be Justin Jefferson. Um, Again, yeah, the yards. The yards can be hard to put up again because he'll definitely be the number one guy this year. I think against the Rams, he's going to get the Jalen Ramsey, obviously. So, so I think in yards he'll definitely take a hit, but then again, he didn't really do much for the first 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So there is a chance that he could break even, but I think he'll definitely improve in the receptions and touchdown department. And I definitely think he could be the offensive player of the year. And then my defensive player of the year, once again, same idea. With Eric Kendricks. The guy can just do it all. He's going to get the tackles. He's going to be all over the place. He's going to be very, very good, and we just can't do it without him. So I think Kendricks will be the defensive player of the year. And then my offensive rookie of the year, that goes to Christian Darrisaw. He might not, have the stats of like a wide receiver to help him out there, but I think he's going to be a very solid piece. To be fair, he's going to be getting the hardest jobs playing like the really good DNs we're going to face this year. But I think I do think that he could be up to the challenge, and I think that he'll do a very good job this year. And then my defensive rookie of the year, this was hard for me to pick personally. Although I want the guy who I think has the best chance of seeing the most field, and that is definitely Chaz Surratt. Because he could definitely get a starting linebacker job doing the outside linebacker stuff. And I think he'll just put up the numbers necessary to be that rookie of the year. And then my most improved player for the Vikings, that's going to be Irv Smith Jr. He's going to get that starting spot. He's going to be getting all the catches. And I think he's definitely going to live up to his potential. I'll draft him in fantasy this year for sure. And then my MVP, this one is going to go to Kirk Cousins. While it could definitely be Dalvin, I do think Dalvin's my definite second choice for the MVP. I think if the line can really get its stuff together, Kirk can have an MVP caliber year. He's got the weapons. He might have the protection. He's got the run game to help him out that way. He won't be passing all the time. And I definitely think Kirk Cousins will be the Vikings MVP.
Yeah. I like your picks. I really do. I think, with your most improved, I think Irv Smith can really, really do that. And I think with the new offense we got with Clint Kubiak, who knows? Maybe he does involve the tight end a lot. Something Gary Kubiak really didn't utilize a whole lot, like Stefanski did in the year before. But I like that, and I think like you said, Kirk and Dalvin can both be a toss-up. It really is going to be, both could have great years and both could be in that consideration. But yeah, I respect that. I really do.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, now we're gonna go on to the NFL part. Pretty much like the Vikings, it's the same format except we are adding in Coach of the Year now. So I suppose I'll just start it off again. I believe the NFL Offensive Player of the Year this year is going to be Kyler Murray. I think this is the year where the Cardinals just kind of propel it. I think they really take off. D-Hop and Kyler got that chemistry going now. Chase Edmonds, they added in James Conner there as a running attack. You bring in A.J. Green. Maybe Kyler resurrects his career a little bit. Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk in there. So, yeah, I think Kyler, maybe this is the year he really propels and takes off and has just a monster type of year. Defensive Player of the Year, I have not JJ, but TJ Watt. TJ Watt, no more Bud Dupree on the Pittsburgh defense anymore. So I think it's going to be strictly TJ Watt getting the pressure, and I think TJ Watt's just that good where he's gonna really bring the pressure on a consistent basis, and I think he could, I think I'm going to say it's going to be a bold take, but I think 20 sacks maybe for TJ Watt this year. He's just that good in my opinion. Offensive Rookie of the Year. This one might be kind of a shocker. You're not going to hear a lot of people pick his name, but it's not a quarterback. It's not a wide receiver. It's not a tight end. It's running back Javonte Williams. Rookie running back out of North Carolina. He is a bowling ball. If you guys have not seen his tape yet, go watch him. Go watch some of his college highlights. He is a bowling ball, and he's a small, lower to the ground, but a lot of speed, big legs, and I think he ends up taking over Melvin Gordon's starting spot. I really do. I think Gordon ends up becoming trade bait maybe in the midseason. So I think Javonte Williams is really just going to propel and take off and end up taking home that award over the likes of Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Jamar Chase, whatever it may be, but I think he takes that home. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I got another shocker to some people maybe, but Jamin Davis. He's a first-round pick, I believe 19 overall in that area from Kentucky for the Washington football team. This kid's got a lot of promise, I've heard. I mean, I've seen his tape. I've watched some of his highlights. He's fast. He's not a bigger body, but more leaner and fast. Can make the tackles. Is pretty good in pass coverage. And I think with that defense in Washington, that D-line creates so much pressure, allows the linebackers to do their thing. That creates so much pressure on them, and I think he just takes on that role tremendously and just ends up taking that home over the likes of, for defense, it's going to be like over Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn, those type of guys. So Jamin Davis for my pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Most improved player / comeback player of the year, that type of role. For me, it's Nick Bosa. There's a lot of choices for this one, but I think Nick Bosa, he had torn ACL in week 2 last year for the Niners. Those Bosas, they're freaks of nature. So I think Bosa with the Niners comes back just strong, maybe puts up 10, 15 sacks or whatever it may be. A lot of choice for this one, but I think Nick Bosa ends up taking home the most improved / comeback player of the year. MVP for me, I hate to be that guy that says it. I hate to be just your average type of guy that'll always say this, but Patrick Mahomes. It's the easy pick for a lot of people, but you look what happened to him. He got absolutely demolished in the Super Bowl by that Bucs defense. And what did the Chiefs go and do? They have the absolute guts to go and release their starting tackles and Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, who had been their bookends at tackle for years. And then they go in and get Orlando Brown Jr. from the Ravens. They go bring in Joe Thuney from the Patriots. They add Creed Humphrey in the draft from Oklahoma. They go bring Kyle Long out of retirement. You get Laurent Duvernay-Tardif coming back at right guard. So, Patrick Mahomes is going to have all the time in the world. He's barely going to get touched out there. And then you got Tyreek, Travis Kelce, Mecole Hardman, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, those type of guys. He's got a plethora of weapons. So I hate to be that guy that says it, but I think Patrick Mahomes ends up taking it home MVP just because they just added so much around him and what's already been there and then on the line. So Patrick Mahomes for MVP. And then lastly, Coach of the Year for me. I kind of went back and forth between this. I don't know what Wantock said. Wantock, we both did it on our own time, our picks here, but I don't know what Wantock has. But I had a coin flip between Ron Rivera from Washington and Brian Flores from Miami. Mm-hmm. But in the end, I gave it to Ron Rivera from Washington football team. Last year they went 7-9, won a very weak NFC East conference. Played the Bucs, in my opinion, very well in that game. But that defense is unreal. You got Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, Deron Payne. Like I said, my defensive rookie of the year pick, and Jamin Davis. And then you got like Kendall Fuller out at cornerback and Landon Collins at safety. So now you add a Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback there, which is an upgrade over what they had last year, and Alex Smith coming off what should have been a career-ending injury, Kyle Allen and Taylor Heineke. So you add Fitzmagic in there, who's very serviceable, and then you bring in, you already got a Terry McLaurin and an Antonio Gibson, a Logan Thomas, and then you go bring in a Curtis Samuel and an Adam Humphries at receiver, and Curtis Samuel's going to do a lot of good things there. They're going to put him in there, a running back, put him in there in the backfield, put him out in the slot, those type of things. So Ron Rivera's got all the weapons, and I think Washington can really make a run this year, and I think Ron Rivera takes that home.
I'm liking that list. I think. Well, the funny part is if you didn't have my first pick, you had like my second or third pick. So definitely nothing wrong there. A very solid list. But my picks for the NFL awards. First, let's start with the Offensive Player of the Year. This was a pretty safe pick for me, but I think it's going to be Christian McCaffrey, Mr. CMC. Yeah, I think that he's going to keep doing well. Sam Darnold's going to have to rely on more of a run game, definitely. But I think that CMC is going to take this one home. Just put up a lot of rushing yards and a lot of receiving yards and do an all-around really good job. And then my Defensive Player of the Year, right in line with Decker, I think it's going to be TJ Watt. Because a lot of people last year, like they were arguing it was going to be TJ Watt. It seemed pretty certain, but then Donald came in and swooped up the award. And I think that he comes in very, very mad about that. And he comes up and he puts up the same numbers, if not better numbers. It takes the award this year. 20 sacks, definitely not out of the realm of possibility. And now for my offensive rookie of the year, this could definitely blow up in my face. But I'm picking Zach Wilson from New York to be the rookie of the year. I think he's going into a pretty good place. Sure, it's the Jets. It could definitely all go wrong. But I think that Saleh and like the new O-line, and if the running game can be good, they've got good receivers with like Corey Davis. I'm blanking on the other names, but
Elijah Moore they've drafted.
Oh yeah.
Denzel Mims they had and entering a second year.
Oh yeah, Mims. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, guys like that could definitely be a very good roster and a very good group to see. And I think that Zach Wilson could definitely thrive. But again, it's still a pretty big question mark since we haven't seen him play. But that's all rookies. On my defensive rookie of the year, this one's going to Jalen Phillips, the D end now in Miami. When I was picking this award, I was trying to think who will see the most playing time, and who will be in a great squad with him. Who's not going to be, brought into a bad system. And of course, Miami is a very big up and comer. A lot of people have him going to Super Bowl this year, and I think that Jalen Phillips is going to fit right in. And yeah, the past couple of years, it's been a D end award, of course, with like Chase Young last year, and I think it follows the same trend. And now for my comeback player of the year, like Decker said, there are a lot of good candidates for this award. With like Saquon, Nick Bosa, maybe even CMC if you want to throw him in there. But I think it's going to be a QB award, and it's going to go to Dak Prescott. Because a lot of people, that was an absolutely gruesome injury that happened. I remember I watched that and my stomach was turned. Sure, it's no Alex Smith per se, but he's definitely going to put up the numbers. He's going to be a great passer. Do some good stuff with his legs, hopefully. And I think that Dak's going to probably get that one pretty handedly, being a quarterback and all. And so I'm going to go to Coach of the Year first, just because, my MVP pick is going to knock your socks off, to say the least. Coach of the Year, this one could also blow up in my face. Robert Saleh. I think that Robert Saleh, he puts on a full-on culture change in that organization. No, no question. He could definitely turn around. Like if someone's going to make a culture better, it's going to be Robert Saleh. I don't think they're going to have the greatest record, which definitely helps. But it's been a first-year coach award for a while, with like Matt Nagy back in 2018. Was Sean McVay a first-year coach when he won it?
I think they had. Oh man, I gotta check into that, but you might be right on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely been a first-year coach because it's not always about like the end record. It's about the improvement, and I think that the Jets could really improve a lot. I mean, thanks to their GM, but also thanks to Saleh and his ability to really rally players behind him. So it might be a stretch, but I think Saleh could definitely pull it off. And now for my pick for MVP, I could have gone safe with Mahomes, and there's a 95% chance you'll be right about that one, Decker. But I thought I thought I'd get a little crazy, and my MVP pick is Matthew Stafford.
Okay.
Matthew Stafford. I think he's always put up very solid numbers with the Lions, and he's had the absolute worst rosters to work with. And coaches, it's been a coach carousel. Aside from, I'm blanking on his name. They had a guy
Patricia?
Not Patricia, the guy before that.
Caldwell.
Yeah, Caldwell.
And then like Schwartz, Jim Schwartz, and.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, just overall, there has been no stability because no one's really been that great. No roster's really been that great. But Stafford still puts up good numbers. And I think with this new Rams roster, Sean McVay, he gets out of Detroit, moves to sunny LA, total total change of environment, and I think he's going to love it. I think he's going to put up really great numbers, and it's just going to surprise people. And I think that that's what's going to also help him in the end. And I think Matthew Stafford, now that he's out of the NFC North, he can thrive for as long as he wants. And I'd be happy to see him do it because he's gotten shafted his whole career. And I think he gets that beautiful MVP accolade.
Yeah. I have to agree with you. I like the risk. You definitely brought a lot of risk to your awards. I like that. Like you said, I think with Zach Wilson, offensive rookie year, that one could be very boom or bust in my opinion. Wilson, him and Salah with your picks there. It's the Jets. They can have a great offseason like they have, and everything could blow up in them. So I mean, it's a very high risk, high reward pick for you. But like you said, Stafford, the man puts up. He does. He rarely turns the ball over. I mean, he's always, he's been very durable. Even when he gets concussions or very banged up, he always finds a way to play the next week. So, and yeah, like you said, you finally get him in a good offense where you got Akers, Kupp, Woods, and those type of guys. You give him all the weapons in the world with a better O-line than they've had in Detroit. A better offensive coach than Stafford's ever had in McVay. Who knows? Maybe this is the year, yeah. Like you said, Stafford just proves doubters wrong, just ends up taking out of nowhere, just takes this award home. So I can't argue with that. I love the risk with your picks.
Yes, and the risk could definitely blow up in my face because if you don't remember, if we didn't mention it, week by week, we're going to try and guess who who's going to win all the games for that week. We're going to have a running record on the whole year. Whatever record is worse has to do some kind of dare of sorts. But with these awards, they can win the extra points that can get them over the hump. And not have them be punished. So I really hope that I'm right, because I'm guessing I'm going to get a lot of the weeks wrong. So yeah,
we could both be completely wrong, and we could both just get absolutely embarrassed.
I really hope that doesn't happen, but we'll have to see how the year plays out. We'll probably find out pretty early on if we're right, or maybe not. Maybe it'll be a close race all the way through. You'll have to stick around through the whole season to find out. But that's
a good way to wrap it up for this episode.
Yeah, this has been a long episode, and I think it's a great place to stop. But thank you all.
We hope we got a lot of good content for you guys. And again, if you want to follow us on Instagram at SkolChat, at skol.chat on Instagram, our other social media platforms will be up on our YouTube videos, which you can see. And again, if you want to go email us, give us some questions, DM us, anything you want, we'll be there. We'll answer them.
Exactly. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.